Now the lock is being set and we are setting the data every single time. The only question is whenever the component is mount, we are trying to set this profile if we are getting a profile there. But what about the other case when you already have a token and you simply want to set the date, you simply want to get the data. Okay, so that is again an interesting case there. So what I want to do now is go out of this guy, which is this paragraph there, and as soon as the component mounts on, if it is already authenticated, then I want you to get the data from the local storage and all things. Okay. So what I want you to do now is define a method again in here, and this is going to be simply the get profile. Okay, now bear with me for a second and you will understand the entire logic that what we are doing in here. So we'll be just moving out of this guy. Still notice we are in the component will mount, and we are saying is simply we want to get the profile. So this dot get profile is going to be our another function, and this function is not going to take any parameter or anything. This function is being fired whenever the component is being mount. So this thing, maybe the lock is being authenticated and everything. Maybe the user is already authenticated. So we don't want him to just logged out suddenly. We want whenever the component is mounted. So whenever the component is mounted, either he should be signed in. This is all the code for that, or he may be already signed in, for which we can just get the profile from the local storage and can set the data there. Okay, so let's try to get the data and set everything into our state. So that is what we will be doing. Okay, now let's define a method, and this will be just a get profile, and this will be below this guy, just above the show lock. Okay, there we go, and there we go. Now we have to do two things. First of all, we have to check whether the local storage has something or not, because there are high chances that the local storage might be empty. But in case if it is not empty, then we want to set it. Okay, so let's do a quick if condition there, and we want to use a local storage dot get item, and in the item it is our id token, and we just want to check if it is empty or not. So if it is empty, null, then what we want to do, we simply want to set the state. If it is not null, then we want to set the state, otherwise we don't want to do anything. Okay, I hope you get the point. So this dot set state, and in the set state we want to set id token to local storage, and basically we want to do exactly the same thing. So I can just borrow this code in here. Okay, paste that. Okay, there we go. Good so far. But one thing that more I want to do in this the set state, we haven't done this so far, but I want to do this now. It can also take a callback function, and we haven't talked about it, but right now I just want to use a simple callback, and I simply want to log state in here as well, so that later on we can figure out if something is wrong or not. And let me type. Okay, there we go. Looks good now. So let me quickly remind you what we are doing in here. As soon as the component is mounted, we are performing a heavy operation of getting the auth result there. Now if we are getting the auth result, that's completely good, and this will only be triggered if we are getting a login and everything. Otherwise this code will not be triggered, because this is run on the only on. And if this code is not triggered, what we want to do is we want to get the profile and we want to set it into the state, because we want the user to be logged in as soon as the component mounts out there. Okay, so this is good so far. Okay, and now is the time we want to check out whether the ID token is good or not, or whatever the things are going on. Okay, so let's go in here in the render, and we will use this header there, and basically, okay, let's just go with this way, and this login header is good, this GitHub is good. So let's go, okay, in the render, let's try there, and we want to create a simple variable there, and we can call it anything. I'll call it as simply Gitty for GitHub. You can call that anything. Now here I want to do a quick check whether the user is logged in or not. And one good way of checking that is whether our state variable of ID token is empty or not. If it is empty, then obviously somehow we are not getting anything in here, whether from the login or maybe from already logged in. Okay, so no matter what happens, if this is empty, then we are pretty sure that we are not logged in. So we don't want the user to show this GitHub there. Okay. So let's use a if condition there, and if there is nothing, if there is something inside the ID token, and we can verify this using this dot state dot ID token. If there is anything, it's going to return us the true, and we are going to say our Gitty is going to be equal to this guy. I'll cut this guy or cut this component. And notice how easy it is with the component. We can just set it to one variable, and that's it. That's all we have to do. Now, else in the else case, we can show another component which we haven't created right now in the page. I'll be storing a simple string that click on login to view GitHub viewer. Okay, not a good idea to store this string there, but we'll work with that right now. Okay, and here I can use the variable page. That's it. So this is the only code responsible for login. So some pages are being shown only because of the login. This is the code responsible. Okay, let's save that, and let's go into this React app, and we got a page is not defined. Git is assigned to a value but never used. So page is not defined, and how is that? Okay, I assigned this to the page. I need to assign that to Gitty. Save that. They should fix up some things. Okay, page is not defined again. Where am I? Okay, I'm using the page again. Gitty, there we go. Save that. Is it fixing? And it says click on the login, and this is because we have got a lot of things in here. Now go to, I guess, application. And here you will see storage. In the local storage, we have got a lot of things. So what we can do is we can hit the delete there. And I guess now we can reload the page and click on the login to view GitHub viewer. Okay, that is good. Now let's click on the login, and this is going to log in the things. And there we go. I am coming from GitHub. Okay, that is awkward, but you got the point. Now, if I just check my local storage, things ID profile is set and profile is also being set, but nobody is going to just right click on it and delete the thing. So we need to code out a logic for the logout as well. Okay, and in the logout, let's code the logic in here, because later on we have to pass on this function to the header, and we just want this navigation item to change from login to logout, because obviously it doesn't make sense that this is still being shown to the user. This should be logout now. Okay, so I think we have a little bit time in here in this video, and let's code out a logout logic, and that is going to be really simple. We want to do two things. We want to first of all set the local storage to remove ID token and profile. That's point number one. And the second is we want to set the state to be null or simply empty. You can call that anything. So let's call this as logout. Okay, that makes sense. And we're going to use this dot set state. And this set state is going to set the state empty. The first guy is going to be, or we can borrow some code. What do you think? Yes, I think so. We can borrow some code. Let's go. Oops, come on. Scroll is not working. Because I'm writing the code in the wrong place. That is really, really bad. Oh, thank goodness. Otherwise, this would have made a mess. So I'll cut this code. This should not be in the header.js. This should be in the app.js. So what we'll be do is we do have a login, the show log. This is good, and we'll just define just below it. Okay, thank goodness I wrote that in the right place. There we go, and we are just exact same code, and we can borrow this couple of lines and copy that, and we'll go back in here. There we go. And we need to change this as well as empty. So profile is empty, ID token is empty. Job number 1 done. Next step is to clear up the local storage. So we can again use a callback in here. You can do that in a separate line as well. No big deal, because whenever the logout is being clicked, this entire function will run. Okay, but I would like to do that here. I always do that in all of my applications. Okay, there we go. We can close this in here. And what we'll be doing is local storage dot remove item. So notice how easily it was so breeze to learn about the local storage. Get item, set item, remove item. It's so easy. And there we go, item, and it's gonna have a simple ID token. That is good. And let's duplicate that line, and we are gonna remove the profile as well. Profile. And this should work, but again, since the navigation bar is into a separate component, we have to pass this logout there as well. Okay, how we can do that? We can pass on this logout as another property. So I'll go in here, and this will be on logout, and this will be passed on as simply this dot logout dot bind. Make sure you don't forget to bind this. This is the syntax how you proceed in here. Okay, so far this is good. Now we need to go into the header JS, and let's go in here with the header JS, and let's code a simple logout. So basically what it's going to do, it's just going to do exactly the same thing. So we are calling the things. So I can copy this and paste that again, and this will be log out, and it's gonna call log out, and there we go. And we need to call this. Okay, but there is a problem. Nobody is calling the logout yet, and either we can make a new button, or we can again do a if else check in there, and we can simply say if the user is logged in, show him login. If the user is logged out, you can just do a logout. And again, in order to do so, we need to check whether the ID and token is there or not. So we need to pass on ID token as well. So let's pass that as a prop. No problem there. We can do so. We have to pass in ID token and profile as well. So ID token, and this is going to be the property which we'll be transferring from state. So this dot state dot ID token. There we go. One property being thrown away, and profile. So notice how easy it is to pass on data from one component to another. This dot state dot profile. And we need one more thing which I'll discuss in another movie, the next movie. That is, we need to pass on this log guy as well. We have been using this log quite extensively so far, so we need to pass on this log as well. And by the way, this log is coming up from in here, so we need to pass on this log as well. Okay, so this is good. We are throwing up a couple of things in here, and now we need to catch them in here, and obviously these are stored in the props now. And all we have to do is a quick if and else check in here, and just like exactly the same. And I want you to do it before me. So make sure you do a simple if and else, and use this dot prop dot ID token, and just use a variable. And if there is something in the ID token, give him a logout. If there is nothing there, give him a login. So I hope you can do that, and I'll do that in the next video.